And our next person I'd like to have our comments, Father Tomas Trafny, who is the executive coordinator of the Science, Theology, and Ontological Quest project that's under the Pontifical Council for Culture, and he's also the head of the Science and Culture office of that institution. He is a native of Poland. He completed his studies in philosophy and theology at the Catholic University of Lublin. He was ordained a priest in 1996, and he has done such various works as serving as a chaplain in hospice for terminally ill patients. He studied philosophy again at the Catholic University of Lublin and then at the Pontifical Lateran University. So that we're very pleased to have him here. I should also note that he is an avid scuba diver, when we have some interesting content. He also deals with matters interested in the dialogue between science and religion, and also environmental and climate change questions, so that he's a very rich, and he's become a very good friend over the years. So and he's going to give us an address. He's also been the main person who has been in the news concerning the Pontifical Council for Culture's efforts to promote and even financially support adult stem cell research. So we're very honored to have him as a participant. Father Trafny.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to participate in this initiative, and I would like to express my gratitude to organizers for having invited me. Well, at the very beginning, I would like to remember two distinguished professors who passed away last February. Reverend Macmillan, who was professor in this university, and Archbishop Życiński. They were not biologists, they were philosophers of science, great ministers of church ministers, and people who were deeply involved in dialogue between contemporary science, theology, and philosophy. And some of us had deep relationship to them. We became friends, and then some of us, were brought to this dialogue through them. So I just wanted to remember them and their contribution to this effort. Since if you look at the schedule, I am already out of time. So I'm not going to read the whole text, but I would like just to say some remarks to summarize what I will make available this paper through Professor Sloan.
Feel free to take it.
2 years ago, I participated in World Science Forum, which is a meeting that every 2 years gather people from scientific community, politics, presidents of different countries to discuss challenges and efforts that modern society should face. And the last session usually is held in Hungarian Parliament. And I was sitting next to a young man who, once he saw my collar, the first reaction was, "Father, what are you doing here?" And then he started a long list of complaints. The church is trying again to enter into politics or scientific discussion, maybe trying to overhang the discussion to control everyone. And that was a time when Nobel Prize winner was talking about the importance of gathering people from different fields to promote dialogue and to see how we can positively impact humanity. And for almost 1 hour, this young fellow from White House was was complaining about the church, and after that he said, "You know, I am Catholic." So I was depressed, and there was a coffee break, and he was behind me, you know, complaining. So I was so sick that I tried to find excuse to get out from him. So I went to the table with drinks, and another man approached me, more or less 70 years old, and he said, "Father, what are you doing here?" And I thought, gosh, again. Well, I tried to explain him politely why I was there, and he said, "You know, probably I shouldn't say that because I am Jew, but I am happy that the church finally came to be engaged in this dialogue." And then I thought, gosh, you meet people who should support you, and you can see how confused they are and how, you know, how they misunderstood the church involvement and church mission. And then you meet someone who probably could have something to say against us, and he's more supportive than, you know, your co-believer. So that was, I wanted just to introduce the main issue. Many institutions, many environments, people from many environments, they are questioning, and they cannot understand, even bishops and regular believers, why church should be involved in scientific debate. Well, there are at least two reasons, general reasons. Science changed deeply. The classical notion of science, where scientific research was based on observation and description of nature, is already very, you know, I would say, doesn't match to new standards. Today's science creates life, controls life on very basic level. Science doesn't limit itself to the description of nature, but tries to influence nature, even to manipulate nature. And this shift is very important because it raises or it causes a lot of ethical and moral issues. So that's why science is not anymore neutral, ethically neutral. And this is the first consideration. The second one is that science is not anymore performed by one person. This is social work, a new kind of institution which involves communities. And very often, many communities work at the same time on separate elements of big project. And sometimes they have not even the holistic vision of what they are doing. And they don't question if what they do would cause cultural or moral consequences. But it does, and we could see it already from 40s or 50s when people were involved in Manhattan Project. Many of them worked on that. There is a very nice Feynman's paper when he recalled the first experiment, that the great success that they obtained working on atomic bomb. And there was great excitement among community. And And he saw at the evening his colleague, Bob Wilson, who was really crying. And he asked him, "Why do you cry? Why do you moping?" He said, "Because we did terrible thing." Science today has, and scientific communities, cause extremely deep cultural and moral impact. And this is the second consideration. From that reason, Church must realize that sciences in general became more thought-provoking now that they were in the past. And that's why we need to be close to the research, scientific research. From particular point of view, peculiar point of view, we can make another consideration. In the past, people thought that in order to understand human being, its identity, its behavior, and even to predict the future, people should study stars. Now we think that people can find out, can search for answers to these questions, these issues, studying cells and genes. And this is important to understand that this research will raise more questions that philosophy and theology raised in the past. So, already scientific research and stem cells research generated and modified our understanding of human being, life processes. But many scientists think that we are only at the beginning of both deepest scientific revolution and human capabilities of managing nature. And what people expect from stem cells research, of course, many of them initially want to find out solutions for medical problems, medical diseases, or issues, and to solve a large number of immune and hematopoietic system disorders, age-related degenerative illnesses, chronic liver injuries, tumors, and others. And we know how many people are affected by degenerative diseases around the world. Every year, at least 50,000 Americans are diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Every year. And World Health Organization estimated that about 3 million persons around the world are affected by blindness from macular degeneration. And this number is going to increase double in 2020. So, these are only very simple examples of how science already engaged human being and made a strong, raised strong problems or questions. But some people go beyond medical research. And already we can see that stem cells research is focusing its attention on bioaesthetical issues, combining, strong financial support, not with pharmaceutical or biopharmaceutical companies, but cosmetics companies. There are people who think about a special food, in vitro meat, that would be in the future delivered for, rich and famous people. So from that research, we expect to see different issues or different problems that would eventually impact the culture. And we are not talking only about, significant increasing of span life and improvement of quality of life, but we are talking about influence the politics, people that would make or new economical decisions, specific welfare decisions. And this research or these changes within the stem cells research and regenerative medicine will raise legal debates and development of law regulations. So finally, we will see enormous investment that will go into cell therapy industry, which is predicted to grow to $2.7 billion by 2012, next year, and to $5.1 billion by 2014. And we have to think about what is going on long-term basis. How our society and culture will be like in next 10 or 20 years, when people who are already 60, 70 will have possibility to increase their span life for 10 to 20 years, from 10 to 20 years. We have to think about that. The society will face a number of problems, like assistance, healthcare assistance, like productivity of lifetime, like insurance and retirement funds, and so on. So apparently maybe we would have, young people around us who really build old society. There are problems that will come, and we need to think about them. So, and we have to think about the tissue engineering. This is something that raises today a lot of ethical and cultural problems. When some methods combines modulated cells with extracellular matrix, hybridized synthetic polymers to obtain biologically functioning artificial tissues. There are questions how deeply we can manage our body and how we will define in the future human being. Its integrity. Are we unique, or we can just cut in pieces ourselves and to reconstruct us as we want? There are deep existential issues, not only abstract philosophical speculations. Okay, There are some of the reasons that I listed why the church should be involved and should be close to scientific community. There are three words as an answer of church's involvement: dialogue, progress, and authority. Dialogue is very challenging effort, very challenging. It's not easy. And when we get involved in the discussion and dialogue between sciences and philosophy and theology, we don't expect to have quickly and easily, some kind of concordism or some, simple answers that we can deliver to the society. This is very tough work because we need to meet people, to leave, our prejudices, to start to hear them, especially scientists, and carefully work and walk with them, analyzing philosophical, theological, cultural implications of their work. And we have to exchange our points of view because some of scientists, unfortunately, they have our sensitivity to the issues we think about: ethical problems, philosophical, anthropological, theological problems. They are not bad people. They simply were not trained in philosophy and theology. So they don't question that. But if we dialogue with them and if we work together, we can exchange and enrich one another. Then the progress, there's the issue, if something is possible from scientific or technological point of view, can we do this or not? Some device or some new instrument. The fact that technology can give us or can produce something new doesn't mean it contributes to the progress. And I'm finishing, from personalistic point of view, progress would be defined as everything that helps man become more human. This is a definition of progress. And this is a kind of definition that church is thinking about and is taking care about. And we would like to show that ethical message or ethical consideration takes part and plays a crucial role in that element. Authority. People are afraid that church's involvement would substantially block the progress. So we have to remember and we have to think, what do we mean by authority? There is a very nice work of Polish philosopher Bocheński, I like to quote it, because he made distinction between two kinds of authorities. The first one is deontical authority, based essentially on the obedience. You have to obey me because I exercise power. I can control your life. And we know that for centuries the church exercised that kind of authority. There is another kind of authority, epistemic one, based on knowledge, on research that someone performed, and he can lead people because he possessed reasonable theory of the reality and life. And today we need this kind of authority. The church needs this kind of authority. The difference between two of them is that while the first one must control almost constantly the life of others, the second one simply attracts them. And if we are talking about church's involvement in such debate, we need to stress of the importance of new kind of authority based on studies, research, and dialogue. When we would attract people and we will lead them into the future, which will be extremely interesting one. Okay, we need to make an effort to be engaged with scientific research in order to assure both church leaders and believers that there is no need to fear science. There is no need. But all cultural changes, but they must be understood, discussed in time, and performed in good way without contradicting gospel message. And we can do that together, and we are very happy that University of Notre Dame makes this effort real. And we thank you for this involvement and this work. Thank you very much.